In the last lecture, we looked at Middle Eastern society and the unique aspects that I argue led to the unique character of Islam and its formation. Now we're going to jump ahead and look at the early life of Muhammad and see how him being a part of this culture affected the unique contours of Islam. Muhammad is very much a part of Arabian society. He has merchants as part of his family, lives with a tribe, travels extensively, and is very much involved in the culture and politics of the Arabian Peninsula. He also does important things to reform the politics. And this is something that's still mentioned today by Muslims who say that the unsavory aspects of pagan Arabian culture, infanticide, disavowing women, treating them very poorly, were reformed by Muhammad and point to him being a prophet because of his exemplary moral leadership. So all that to say, the character of Arabian society is very important to understand Islam and the rise of Muhammad. So first of all, let's look at who was Muhammad and see the basic facts of his life. It's important to consider his origins because almost no event has altered the course of history like the rise of Islam, nor did one have such an unlikely beginning. The reason is because its founder, Muhammad, was an illiterate merchant who was exiled from his tribe, working in an obscure corner of the globe. He claimed to have received a prophecy from God, and he climbed the social ranks and rose from an outcast to a local leader and then the most powerful figure in Arabia. After his death, his followers would go on to conquer much of the ancient world in less than a century. Islam now dominates the headlines, is a major source of both unity and tension across the globe, due to its estimated 1.2 billion followers. So, what explains its auspicious origin? Well, it's hard to say, but the most obvious starting point is the life of Muhammad. He was born in 570 AD as a member of the Hashemite clan of the Quraysh tribe. By the age of 2, he was an orphan. He was left in the care of his uncle Abu Talib, who was a prominent merchant and the leader of the clan. This family tie is very important because his uncle offers him protection throughout a good portion of his young life, and this enables him to begin his prophetic ministry. When he loses this protection of his uncle, this is a very important pivotal moment of his life where he really steps out as his own man. He grew up traveling in caravans across Arabia, moving from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indian Ocean. These distant travels and contacts with a lot of different far-flung trade networks aided him later in life when he had to set up his own religious and military network that would conquer Arabia and Persia, and then his descendants conquered from North Africa all the way out to Spain. So this early experience of mingling and commingling with a lot of different groups, setting up alliances, was very important for his career later, not only as a religious and political leader, but also for forming alliances and settling disputes with major figureheads in Arabia. Let's look at a couple of other details of Muhammad's life. We'll just take a step back and look at more of the broad picture here, and then we'll dial in a little bit more in this lecture and the next lecture. So as I said, he was born in 570. In 610, he claimed to receive the words of God. He was from the Hashemite clan of the Quraysh tribe, and his wife, whom he married when he was 25 years old, was Khadija. This is a very popular girl's name in the Middle East and found in other languages. You'll find it to be Hatice in Turkish. After 610, when he receives his prophecy and begins his prophetic career, which he said he received from Gabriel, in 619, Khadija and his powerful uncle Abu Talib die, thus equaling his loss of protection, but also beginning his formal career as an independent man, as a prophet, and this is where the movement really starts to grow as he moves more throughout the Arabian Peninsula. The early Muslims' hijrah, or pilgrimage, to Medina in 622 is where we can say Islamic history begins with this exodus. The Muhajirun, which means emigrants from Mecca to Medina, join him. And it's these figures, and it's this movement from one city to the other, that makes up part of the steps of the pilgrimage that every Muslim is obligated to go to once in his life, barring any extenuating circumstances. And this also marks the holy month of Ramadan, this exodus from one city to another. So let's look at what happened specifically when he received his prophecy. When Muhammad was 40 years old, he sought solitude more constantly before, and he found it at a cave in Mount Hira, which is known by Muslims today as the Jebel Nur, or the Mountain of Light. There's a picture of that there. All early Islamic sources say that the angel Gabriel visited him in his sleep with a silken cloth in his hand, covered with writing, and he said to Muhammad, "Read." "I cannot read," answered Muhammad, because he was literate. And again the angel covered him, still repeating, "Read." Then his mouth was opened, and he began to recite the first surah of the Quran. "Recite thou in the name of the Lord who created thee." And when he awoke, it seemed to him that these words were written in his heart. That's an account of Muhammad's career that comes from a biography by G.M. Draycott. So what happened after waking? He immediately went up to the mountain, and there Gabriel appeared to him and said, "Thou art God's prophet, and I am Gabriel." The archangel vanished, but Muhammad remained rooted in the spot until his wife Khadija's messengers found him and brought him to her. So this is the event that begun his career as a prophet. And we see aspects of him that led to his successful prophetic career. He had humble beginnings, so he could relate very well to the rank and file. This allowed him to lead a diverse populist movement. Also, his career as a trader and merchant gave him the experience to set up his own military and religious network. And what we'll see later in the subsequent lectures is the amazing speed to which Islam spread throughout the vacuum of the Middle East and Arabia. Here you can see a map of some of the military movements that happened in the late 6th and early 7th century. And this isn't over the course of decades. This is really in the course of a few years, where you see the beginning there of Mecca and Medina and arrows going out. That's the military campaign of both Muhammad and then later with the Rashidun Caliphate going out and earning major victories. So the conquest is very fast. It utterly shocked the Persians and the Byzantines. How could there possibly be a unified political movement coming out of Arabia when there's been nothing but basically discord and disunity there for centuries? Now there's a unified movement that's conquering imperial armies. It completely shocked people. And Muhammad's legacy is clear. Followers conquered much of the ancient world within a century, leading to about 1.2 billion members today. And it's a source of unity and tension across the globe now. So in the next lecture, we're going to look specifically